Hey guys, sorry for my abrupt departure. My 5 minutes internal clock seems to be off this morning. But we were talking about the thesis, and I did want to wrap this up and kind of revisit how we're putting all these together. So in this paper, I will talk about. I prefer because this is directly from the students. I like to think about. I will discuss. Another one I like to think about is I will explore. Um, I like examine. Think about. We know we're talking about it, right? So let's. I want to kind of challenge us to kind of think about elevating and capturing very specifically what it is that we're doing. Right? We're examining. We're exploring. We're discussing. We're analyzing, or anything like that. That kind of gives us a more specific action that we're doing very specifically. So, what do you feel like you're doing? So, I think you should think about that. I will examine or explore. I think those are really good ones. So, in this paper, or you can even say essay, I will examine communications that take place in this field, the controversies, graduation requirements, working conditions, and requirements accountants must complete to maintain their credentials, to stay employed, and to advance their careers. So I think that's really kind of an interesting way of kind of thinking about in a thesis statement, because not only are we don't want to give just a specific laundry list of the things, but then very, very specific. So, well, we've got a maintenance paragraph that's a coming, right? We know that that's something we have to examine ourselves or explore ourselves and research to find out about. But then there's something more specific about it, right? In the field of accounting, as he or she found out here, this particular student, once you get your bachelor's degree, maybe once you get your certified, your CPA, or one of your, or the fraud examination, or you go maybe into a specific field, then there are these things called continuing education. And when we get to that particular, we're going to continue to use this student's essay, but when we get to maintenance, right, we'll see that there's these, what they call the CEs, all right? These are continuing education requirements, or continuing education points, right? So they always have to be continually updated and quote unquote literally maintained so that you stay current, right? Tax laws change, financial laws change, all these things change, especially when we get a new president, that we're going to try to change the tax code. We hear that term a lot, and accountants, by and large, anytime you're dealing with money, what can be reported as income, what can be reported as an expense, what can be aggregated, what can be written off, right? Things that can be written off, things that can't be written off, things that can be amortized, et cetera, et cetera. All these things you have to stay current with, because those laws are constantly changing. And so there's this nod to this understanding of what's taking place. I also like the distinctive requirements. There's some, it seems to be like some additional research done right here. So I did want to point that out to you. And I did want to mention this specificity here in finding very specifically how accountants communicate. Because that's kind of a funny statement. How do accountants communicate, right? There's the obvious, they use email, but I like the specificity here of financial statements, instruction letters, formal reports of their financial conclusion. So this and when and in the paper where you have to use a few examples, right, of how these are done. These financial conclusions are very, very, very interesting documents. An accountant might be sitting there by him or herself, taking a company's financial records, right, just entering in numbers, right. But then there's this other aspect to it. There's a financial conclusion. So once all those numbers have been crunched, right, the accountant then performs kind of like not, I want to say, an examination, or excuse me, not an evaluation, but in some sense an evaluation or a snapshot of what the business looks like, and perhaps an outlook, right, or a forecast. So there's lots of these different types of things. So the student, before writing this, did a lot of good background research to really kind of tease out specific things, right? And of course, finding out that there was things that deal with fraud and dishonesty, and they'll talk about that more later. But I like this level of specificity in this introduction paragraph, and you can read it in its entirety in this sample right there. All right, so it looks like I got to go because I'm probably about to approach. Well, I'm probably going to cut off you here in a minute, but so I'm going to say, stay safe, stay awesome, have a great week, and we'll talk soon. Bye now.